Gosh, Haro, you said you needed 4 minutes, so I was gonna go live and be like, "Hey everyone, how's it going?" And then you came on. So howdy. I'm going to wait until the I don't know if you can hear me on there. So anyway, hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a VeVe OMI. Well, it's OMI is my homie number 75 with my co-host Crypto Rain. Dr. Stuff is currently on a trip, but he'll be back with some epic stories next week. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. This week we have a lot to go over. We have the China trade wars going on. We have the market in a frenzy. Gold was at all-time highs, and it wasn't. Someone's got to check on Peter Schiff. And then we have OMI going down very, very low. And we have a lot of the people that tend to have a big bag, and they come in and they're very frustrated, which is understandable. And we're here to talk about it all. Crypto Rain, how you doing?
Amazing.
Same. We've got we've had a pretty hectic week for a lot of reasons, some of which I need to go over with you over camera because I don't know if it's PG. But we have a it's going to be a stacking week. I will have some funds tomorrow, and I will be able to get some more OMI and a little more DEVVE, but a lot more OMI because OMI is so cheap. I had messaged a couple of things in which we might have to go over today, but before we do, how's the week been? How's crypto treating you? How's your mindset in this week of chaos?
A lot of this is just part of being in crypto, and the cycle usually happens sooner than it is, and it's delayed, and it's mostly delayed because we realize how important the monetary cycle is, not just the Bitcoin halving, but the Fed lowering interest rates, which is coincided with the year coming up into the presidential elections. And it didn't really happen this time. Some of it was recovery from COVID and printing so much money, yet decreasing factory use. So you had less goods produced, but more money in the system, which dramatically increased inflation. And so they didn't want to lower interest rates very much going into that. They still did. Jerome Powell did twice leading up to the Biden trying to get reelected. And when Trump won, they stopped all interest rate decreases till just barely. And that's been a little bit weird. And they did say that they're going to switch to quantitative easing from quantitative tightening. That's going to bring more money into the system. So it's delayed a lot of the cycle. Like Bitcoin's still way up from its bear market lows. And if we just have a normal cycle, the top for Bitcoin should be 150 to like 165, maybe 175,000 would be a normal top. So it's really not terribly far away from that. What hasn't happened is a lot of the altcoin momentum. And some of that is Bitcoin really peaks out, the movement goes into altcoins, as well as money, massive amounts of money coming in the system. And that's been delayed because interest rates are still higher. And the Fed hasn't been doing quantitative easing, but that is all coming. So some people are really worried. I'm just like, well, this is what it is. It just means more patience.
Agreed. There's a bunch of things that we could go into, but there's a couple of people asking if OMI's cooked. Do we have Quad 09 incoming? And some people are very negative about that. While other people, like our good friend Abe, would be very excited about it because of the fact that it's a lot easier to stack. And for me, and I like to be very transparent about what I do to my audience, I would have said 6 months ago or X amount of months ago or heck, even a couple weeks ago at 0003, yeah, I'll buy here. And now we're kind of half that. So I'm going to buy tomorrow, regardless of what the price is. But how do we know when it's the best time? Again, I have no problem stacking here, but I didn't think we'd get back here. And here we are. Can we go to the quad zeros? Is that something that we should wait for to optimize buying? What's the strategy? What should we do?
Well, this is one of the challenges of buying in a bear market is you don't know where the bottom is. So I don't know if you've ever been to a lake that has like a mushy bottom. where you reach down and the mud is like, yeah, and it's not solid. So if you have sand, you can usually feel the bottom, you feel the sand. But if it's like mud, sometimes the mud is quite deep and you reach down, you're like, but you can feel it gets cold, but it's not even the bottom. And that's what bottoms feel like, is you don't know where the bottom is. You're like, and I think I'm close, but it could be way far below me. Like, I don't know. So the problem with markets is we have this idea that somehow we're going to be able to time the bottom, and that's just an unrealistic expectation. So what sophisticated long-term investors do is they just dollar cost average at really attractive prices. And then if it goes lower, they dollar cost average it to even more attractive prices. And if it goes higher, well, sometimes you dollar cost average at those prices, not knowing if it's going to go back down. And I wish there was a better way. If there was, I'd be a billionaire already. As it stands, I had to go with just making really good money in 2021's bull run because I didn't buy everything during the bear market at the bottom because I didn't know where the bottom was. And when I sold, I didn't sell everything at the top because I didn't know where the top was. But still, the spread that you can make by dollar cost averaging in at the lows or near the lows, or not even near the lows, but just low, and then selling as things get massively up, the numbers are still staggering.
Agreed. It seems to be there's a lot of people that are looking to buy here. We have a friend of ours that picked up 50 million OMI this week, so he was very excited about that. You have Abe that's going to buy. You have Kuma that's ready to buy. Kuma, just let me buy before you. That's all I ask. Honestly, if you have it in the next like 12 hours, go crazy. I might not. No, I might need like 20 hours. So if you can get it beforehand, good luck. And thanks to everyone for reposting the stream, talking about us. This is great. We wind the clocks back to last week, and we'll go in chronological order. David posted a video of Street Fighter. And on his Instagram, I was like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. And then everyone's speculating, is that what the S means? Is that S that was teased? Is that Street Fighter? And yeah, it could have been. And I think that Street Fighter does come eventually. I feel like we've had that for a while. But this one was Ninja Turtles. He wound up taking it down because people were speculating on the wrong thing. And I think he's just a fan of that. And he wanted to show the World Championship of that. But we got Ninja Turtles. Is this something that you watched in the 80s? Is something you grew up with? How do you feel about it?
I did like Ninja Turtles. Yeah, it was, the movies were good. Like the first movie was like amazing. I remember I was pretty young when I watched it and just absolutely loved the mystique, how they really didn't show the turtles for a little bit in the movie and did a great job. The cartoon was fun. I totally watched the cartoon. But back then, there weren't near as many cool cartoons. There was Transformers, there was G.I. Joes, there was Ninja Turtles, and just a few others. So, fun. There's some nostalgia there.
I had Michelle Ivy, who was on the podcast on Sunday. She is the biggest Ninja Turtles fan in the world. VH1 did like a documentary on her years ago, and the clip from that has like 10 million views on YouTube, and she's got a lot. She had paid back in the day, like thousands of dollars to become a blue belt in karate, so she could fight like the Ninja Turtles. She, like, as crazy as I was with Pokemon, that's her with Ninja Turtles. She's big on the Comic-Con circuit, and she's excited for. She used my link, sign up, link down below if you haven't yet, for VeVe, and she's excited to collect some turtles over on VeVe, and I hope she becomes a affiliate herself, because with 17,000 followers on Instagram, all of which follow her for her turtle content, I feel like she can bring some people over to VeVe, which would be great. That being said, I know the macro kind of tends to rule all, but we announced Turtles, which is what, 15, 18, $20 billion IP, which is massive. And the price went down. Who's selling? How does this work? How do we have such amazing news and the price go down? I'm confused.
Because generally altcoins are down because Bitcoin and crypto is down. And so somebody's selling, people get shaken out. It happens. And so cool. I mean, we know that behind the scenes, lot of the OTC deals are all scooped up. Like a big buyer came in, scooped up every single one of those. So there's not those pools. That doesn't mean there isn't anybody who could sell, but a lot of those bigger OTC deals where people were looking to sell, they all got scooped up. And so there's not a lot left that we're aware of, but that doesn't mean there isn't some people that just, they can't hang on and they see action happening somewhere else and they got to chase the green candles there instead of holding what's low. They sell what's low, possibly even lower than what they bought it at, to chase something that just went 5 or 10x. And I see this in crypto all the time with people who are newer and even sometimes some people that have been in crypto. I see it sometimes with some people that started in crypto before me and they still do this stuff. And what's funny is they've been in crypto longer than me and they haven't made meaningful money. By meaningful money, they still don't have $1 million or $2 million. And they've had 2 bull runs because they're just doing the wrong things. And what's crazy is you can be around in crypto for 2 decades and not be rich if you're doing the wrong things. And selling low to buy something high because that's where the momentum is, that usually ends poorly.
Yeah, it sounds insane that you could be there for that long and not be successful with that. But I guess when you think about it, yeah, if you're just continuing doing the wrong thing, like people die in poverty. So
how much have you seen like people do the wrong thing in since you came in, where they literally go where they feel the momentum is? In other words, they're buying OMI at 1.4 cents and then they're selling it at disastrous lows to FOMO into something that just went 10x. And it's like you're late to the party. Where you make your money is buy low, sell high, and you're literally buying high and selling low over and over again because you want to be where the momentum is. But that's not how you make money. You make money by being where the momentum is going to be before it gets there, before everyone else. And that takes courage, it takes research, and it takes patience, because a lot of times you'll buy it and you don't know when it's going to move. If you had a perfect magic crystal ball where you could see exactly when it was going to move, so you could time it right at the low before it moved, perfect. Great. I don't have one of those. So what I do is I use research to identify really strong companies that are out of the narrative, so nobody's talking about them. I scoop them up and I wait till that momentum hits them. And then where they're going crazy and everyone is talking about them, I sell into that momentum. And that's how you get rich in crypto. It's really not all that complicated, but this principle, so few people in crypto do. 5% of people do it. But this is how you make money in crypto. It is that simple. But just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy, because it takes patience. Patience ruins a lot of people's fortunes. They see it and like, OMI is still not up. Oh my gosh, I could have been in Bitcoin and Bitcoin's up 7x. So I'm going to sell my OMI now and buy Bitcoin. It's like, you missed the play. It's up 7x. At best, it 2x's or 5x's left from here. And your OMI, when it does hit, will probably go 50 to 200x from here. And so you sold to catch maybe a 2 to 5x on Bitcoin instead of just waiting for the 50 to 200x that might happen with OMI. You don't get rich off of 2x. You just don't.
Agreed. There's a couple of people that I've seen that maybe they don't have a bunch of success in crypto yet, but they have been successful in other areas. So sometimes that success can translate, sometimes it doesn't. Where they've said that the bear market is back and the bull market's over, and if it hasn't pumped by now, it won't pump by now. And obviously, I think they're wrong. But they had said that like the past like 2 months ago, and technically they're right so far. What didn't pump at that time still hasn't pumped yet. I think we have 6 months, if not 8 months of pumpage ready to go. But I guess people are wondering when that might be. The people that are on the fence, like, oh, is the bull market over already? I think with the new peace deals that we've been signing, with the rate cuts that are going to happen, and gold finally losing some dominance, there's going to be some pumps left. But again, that's just kind of my thoughts. I wonder what you could add there.
Well, so it seems like maybe they're right, but they're flat out wrong because they're saying it's a bear market. It's not a bear market. It's just Bitcoin. We're still in a bull market. It's definitely not showing topping signs yet. It just goes 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so when it steps back, not only does it come back some, it trades sideways and generally down until it takes the next leg up. So all this is a pause before the next leg up. And we're definitely not in a bear market, but they somehow think that if it's not going up tremendously for what, I mean, even they said that 2 months ago, but look, Bitcoin's up from 2 months ago. It stepped back down part of that, but it reached new all-time highs. Then it stepped back down some. Okay, big major trade war with China potential loom. Fundamentally, Bitcoin is even stronger than it's ever been. And so it's going to take another leg up. It's pretty predictable. So people who are saying that, they just don't know what they're talking about yet. And that's cool. They've been successful in other things. They don't understand this cycle in this market. And that's cool. I've seen lots of people be successful in other businesses come into crypto and they absolutely get destroyed because they don't understand market cycle investing. So my background prior to crypto was I did real estate cycle investing. And there's certain real estate markets that they swing way up and then they pull back severely, and they swing way up and pull back severely. What I didn't like about that is two things. Number one, the real estate cycles are really, really long. So it can be 17 to 24 years from one top to the very next top. Boy, that's 2 decades per total cycle. And crypto had been doing a 4-year cycle. Looks like this time it's going to be extended because they really didn't bring down inflation and switch to quantitative, or they didn't bring down interest rates and switch to quantitative easing. So, okay, we'll have a 5-year cycle. That's still half a decade as opposed to 2 decades. Number two, the volatility is so massive. It's great. And if everyone knew it was going to happen, there wouldn't be money to be made. So the fact that so many people are wrong is exactly why there's so much money to be made. And you think, oh, they're good at business. They have this. Oh my gosh. You know how many people I've seen that are good at business that just get wrecked in crypto? Like one of my bear market investments of 2019 was I bought land in Axie Infinity. And for 2 years, it did nothing but like go down, just down, then down some more, down some more. If you were in the Discord, you just saw nothing but FUD, and this is never going to happen. And Axie is a failure, and the team needs to do marketing, and the team needs to do this, and the team needs to work harder, and the team blah, 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 blah. Complaint, 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 complaint. One positive thing, complaint, 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 complaint. Sound familiar? Then all of a sudden, money started coming into crypto, and it starts to go way up. And I'm like, whoa. And it was really going up. So I started selling the land, and I end up selling at 100x. And after that, I'm at the Bitcoin conference in June of 2021. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, man, do you know what the best investment in crypto is? And I was like, what? And he's like, land in this blockchain video game called Axie Infinity. I'm buying these mystic plots of land for $50,000 a piece. I was like, I was buying them at $70, and I sold all them already. It's like, no, you don't understand. This is going to be big. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure I understand, but $50,000 sounds like buying high, hoping it's going higher to me. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm okay to being wrong. And he's like, yeah, I just put $2 million into it. Went to a bunch of my other business buddies because we've been in business and done all these different businesses for years. And we put together a fund of $2 million. And we bought like, I can't remember how many plots that bought, like 40 or something. And he was so excited. Well, they did go up further from there, but thank you, baby. I think they sold, or I don't think they sold. And so then when they crashed down, they went down to about $10,000. And I haven't checked on what they are recently, but like he probably didn't take profits. And so he absolutely lost his shirt. And he had done all kinds of other business. He just didn't understand what the hell he was doing there. $50,000 for these plots at the time was buying high, hoping it continued to go up for forever. And keep in mind, I'd already made 100x, and I sold way before 50,000. So it's like the guy was getting wrecked. buying so high, but he bought into this "it will just go up forever" mentality. That doesn't happen. And the other thing that people do wrong, and they buy into this mentality that's never going to go up. That's not true either.
That, oh my God, that reminds me of the Cody, forget his last name, the Cody guy that talked to a bunch of his guys to buy a bunch of Spider-Man secret rares from like 25 to 50K. And it went up, I think, to like 80K. I don't know if they sold though. And then, now it's like 3K, 5K. Also, be advised, we have someone's about to list their wall for 780, and I was going to buy it, but Stacker has said they're reinstating services after AWS outage, and the marketplace should restart soon, so I can't buy it right now. Sorry. That also being said, Stacker has had the swapping function is down. So again, you could still buy, but you can't convert. Like, let's say if you have, let's say Mo Collection sells his partner statue for some OMI, he can't convert that or swap that to USDC because 1 inch is down. For whatever reason, it's not working, it's degraded. So you do have to go in and send that elsewhere, which if you have an exchange, that's fine. Rain, what do you think about Stacker being the only place that people will be able to cash out in 4 weeks from today? Was that, I think it'll be easy for Web3 peeps that know crypto, but for people that don't really know crypto, that's probably going to be a little harder. What are your thoughts?
Well, it'll be harder, but it's amazing how quickly people can learn new things when the money flows in. So when the money flows in, people go through learning curves a lot faster than they normally would because their motivation goes way up. And so when they see so much money and they feel like it, like this guy was barely coming into crypto, the one that was buying Axie Infinity Land, he was paying $50,000. But because he felt like so much money was there, like, lined up 2 million and like figured out how to use the wallets at this time in order to do all that stuff. And so when the motivation is there, people learn amazingly fast. So will it slow things down for a little bit? Yeah, until like things start to go crazy, and then you'll be surprised at how fast so many people will figure it
out. We have Alan saying, for folks worried about OMI, don't realize OMI has less than a $50 million market cap, so every small sell can drop the price. One big buy can recover it all. It's not just OMI, all sub 50 market cap coins. Agreed. And also, when you were mentioning the OTC deals before, everyone that wanted to sell in an OTC via OTC, they had sold, but not everyone that wanted to buy via OTC was able to buy. You have some people out there that are probably using this opportunity to scoop as much as they can. Unfortunately, the order books are very, very thin. If there was any big like billion OMI sell orders, they probably would have been taken out because I know a couple of people that were looking to buy, especially at these levels. So right now, a lot of it's really hard for some people to go in and that are very, very busy and be like, okay, I have a couple $100,000. I'm going to sit here for 2 days and buy all of these sell orders. That does get really hard.
We know some of the whales, they just won't do that.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't have time for that. And it's like, well, if they really realize the amount of money there, they would find the time, but they don't really realize it. And it seems like they have forever. And it will seem like that till suddenly it doesn't.
Agreed. So ETH is the #1 network for new developers in 2025, and VeVe functions on Base, which is layer 2 version of ETH. Was this the right move? Now, Base is a fantastically very quick growing chain there, and it's getting a lot of traction from a lot of people, but it's just part of ETH, not on ETH in general. Do you think this was the right move looking back on it? I mean, we had a couple migrations now, and
yes, Base was definitely the right move.
Why?
Base, backed by Coinbase, are one of the biggest players in crypto, and they have the right leadership that I think will continue to be one of the biggest players in crypto. And so they just have staying power. Base has staying power like most things don't. So I'm happy they did that. I think it was a very good strategic move.
Agreed. Crazy Joe says, if you type in NFTs on YouTube, you'll be hard to find a video that wasn't made 2 to 3 years ago, except for mine. I post videos and lives every day. Said, I have no idea NFTs were that much out of the loop. I'm missing something. What position are NFTs currently? I think NFTs are very similar to gaming and memes and DeFi is that none of the narratives are here yet. And you just have to kind of wait for that money to trickle in. You probably need to wait for the government to get back into session and pass the Clarity Act. You probably need to wait for more aggressive rate cuts. I don't know how many more peace deals Trump can sign. He's signed like 8 of them already. Maybe the Russia-Ukraine one will be a nice stability act for him. But yeah, I don't know what it takes to get back into the narrative.
Yeah, one of the problems with is it doesn't pay to cover things that are strongly out of the narrative. So a lot of people who go to YouTube for research on what to buy that's undervalued, there are a few creators that do research and share what's undervalued. That is specifically what I do. The challenge with it is it's number one, it doesn't monetize well with YouTube. Why? If you were to do a video on NFTs right now, it wouldn't get very many views because NFTs aren't in the narrative. But it's a great time to buy very specific ones that have really good teams and really good chance to do well, but your video doesn't get much traction. Like we cover OMI here. How much traction do we get on these videos? Not very much right now, but we cover OMI because we think it's massively undervalued and most people are missing the boat. We don't want them to. So we make the argument for why it's massively undervalued, even though these videos aren't going to go viral with millions of views. For us, it's not about the money that we make that way. For me, I'm doing this research anyway on the things that are massively undervalued. I started the YouTube channel as, well, why don't I just share the research that I'm already doing? Why don't I share what I'm buying? I'm here as an investor, not a YouTuber. Most people who have YouTube channels and stuff, they're trying to make money from their channel. Most aren't even good investors. They haven't made meaningful money on their investments. I'm an investor. I make my money from my investments, not YouTube. So I don't care if I'm covering videos that don't get millions of views. Those who follow me get the benefit of me covering projects almost nobody is covering because they're massively low. And I know I'm not going to get millions of views on those videos. That's okay because I'm just sharing what I like, why I'm buying it, why I think it's undervalued. And if people like my research, great. They can then leverage that, make their own decision. But following this methodology, like I was thinking about the other day, I've helped create 7 millionaires already, in the 2021 cycle, since the 2021 cycle. It's like, great. It's gone significantly well for me. This coming bull run is going to go crazy that number will multiply exponentially. Great, cool. But realize that most YouTubers aren't going to cover things that nobody is talking about because nobody is searching for those things either. And so it won't monetize well. And they rely on their crypto YouTube channel to provide money because they don't have much. Thank you, baby. You're the best. She's bringing me all kinds of dinner and snacks and treats. Good woman.
Heck yeah, that's a great time. So by all means, eat, and I will get to the rest of this bread. Goldogan says the issue we did not get the alt ETFs, and tariffs are destabilizing the markets. Also, the Fed has been very slow to lower rates. Yeah, so again, once the Clarity Act passes, we'll get a bunch of retirement accounts in there. There are a couple of things on the board they're ready to go through as well. But then, yeah, the Fed has Jerome Powell, which really hates Trump. And again, whether that's right or wrong, obviously I think it's wrong, that will end at some point. Now, obviously you don't want to wait for him to end his term and wait until May before we get these aggressive rate cuts, but they were compressing anyway, regardless of what the Fed did. And obviously it's easy to go in and say, hey, we can combat this problem. And they did lower the rates by 25 basis points last time. Hopefully we get another rate cut in a couple of days, hopefully 50 basis points.
Highly likely, especially with stuff going on, the way numbers are coming out, that the economy is in generally a decline. as of what the numbers are right now.
Government shutdown to cover the Epstein files. Bro, apparently Thomas Massie has the votes, and as soon as the government opens back up, they can release the Epstein files. And probably one of the only things that Republicans and Democrats are agreeing on is like, yeah, we can't let this government open back up while they have the votes for the Epstein files. So unfortunately, I think they are going to have to go in and whip a couple of votes up in the opposite direction. And then once they are sure they have the votes to decline that, they'll probably open back up. It could be other things too, such as giving people that aren't citizens healthcare and other things like that. But I'm going to say Epstein file is definitely a big one. Milk collections, yeah. Let me know if that sells or not. In other news, we have the China trade war that's also kind of ravaging us. Many ups and downs. Past predictions of major alt bulls said we probably would have gone up by now. I was thinking that too, and now I want to invoke that Mad TV skit of lowered expectations and say that I'm going to say mid to late Q1 of next year is when we have a blow off top for ETH and Bitcoin, and then alts in Q2. Because I don't want to say, yeah, we could have it late this year, early next year, and then be disappointed again. So what say you on that?
Just there we go. Thank you, Miss. Like back to the Epstein files thing. Rach, would you close the door by chance? Like, I don't know. I think there are some Republicans covering that didn't want that exposed either, because probably exposes them or some of their friends. And so is that the real reason? I don't think so. I think it has to do with Democrats been asking for this crazy amount of stuff to be included. They won't sign on to the continuing resolution unless that's done. So the Republicans are voting to reopen the government, but it takes 60 votes in the Senate, and they only have, 55 or whatever the number is. And so the Democrats have been keeping the government shut down by not agreeing. So they only need 5 or whatever to come forward and say, okay, yeah, we'll just agree to keep the funding at exactly the levels they are, and bam, it opens back up. Of course, Republicans are blaming Democrats, Democrats are blaming Republicans, but it is the Democrats that are voting to keep it shut down. So it's the Democrats. Now, are the Republicans holding back the Epstein files? That's pretty clear. What was the other part of the question?
The other one was the time frame of alt season. I would say I'm going to say Q2 of next year we get alts, because I think the second half of Q1 we have a blow off top for ETH and Bitcoin. Even though I think it might be sooner, I don't want to set my expectations that high and have them be just go up in flames again. So I'm going to set my expectations very low and say that mid next year we get it.
Yeah, I think probably mid next year is when the top likely is. I think we get some kind of meaningful movement in November and December. November and December is usually favorable for crypto. We'll see how it plays out. I think interest rates are going to come down coming up here. That's still, if they flip to quantitative easing, which I think Jerome Powell talked about going that route, then more money is going to start coming into the system. Starting next year, Trump has lined up like some crazy amount of like 21 trillion in investment coming into the U.S. to build factories and chips and everything in the U.S. And that capital is going to start being deployed. So the U.S. economy is going to start looking really good, especially if they bring down interest rates, because a lot of this ongoing debt needs to get refinanced at lower rates anyway. So Jerome Powell has been holding them up for, I think, far too long. And why? It seems clear at a minimum he hates Trump. Maybe Democrats have something on him, or maybe he just hates Trump, but possibly one of those two options. Because he should have lowered rates by now a lot more than he has. A lot of Europe is at 2%, and the U.S. has been at 4.25% until this last time, where they lowered them to 4%. They're still 2% higher than most of Europe.
Agreed. Do traders have a lot more power over OMI because it can't be traded on most exchanges? I mean, yeah, like there's swing traders that, especially now that we actually have some volume, yeah, they have a lot of power because not a lot of people are willing to go in. I remember Penguin saying the other day that he had mentioned OMI goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up, and it always comes back down. I was like, yes, that's been the pattern, and many people trade that pattern. And like, if you're sure that it's next time it goes up, it's going to come back down again, you could try trading. And he said, well, I know that if I go in and sell on the next pump and then it keeps going up, he would do some very not nice things. And I was like, that makes sense. I agree with you. That's why I don't trade. So there's people like me that have a decent amount of OMI that doesn't trade because I don't want to risk that. So you have a bunch of big people that are waiting on the sidelines. You have a couple people that do swing trade though, but yeah, I would say that the traders do have a decent amount of power over where it goes short term. Ray, anything to add to that?
Tempting to do that. It won't go like you think it's going to go. And the reason, so I did that last bear market and I learned a very valuable lesson. There was one that I was buying and it just kept coming back down to like 7 cents. So I bought it 7 cents and go to 14 cents and I sold half. It came back down to 7 cents. I was like, great. So I bought it all back and then some. Went up to 14 cents. I sold half and then it went to 21 cents. I was like, I think it's going to go back down, maybe even to 7 cents. So I sold the rest of it 21 cents. It went to like $27. I left so much money on the table. So I was all happy. This is the greatest thing. But when it went to 21 cents, it did come back, touched 14 cents. And then it ran up like crazy. And then it was $1, $2, $3, $5, topped out at like 24 and then $27. Maybe even on some exchanges wicked higher than that. And it's like, wow, well, that was a mistake. So I don't try to trade it. Also, in a lot of jurisdictions, if you're short-term trading like that, you're going to fall under short-term capital gains as opposed to long-term capital gains.
Ben Korea says, I'm hosting a mini VeVe meetup in Seoul tonight. You might know the special guest. Is it Justin Y? Let me know. Or do we know anyone? I mean, we know a bunch of people in Korea, but do we know anyone there currently? Devo Kyle, my bad. Which would you choose? No buying or selling collectibles for 70 days or no buying or selling crypto for 30 days? For me, that's an easy one. Collectibles for 70 days. I'm holding most of them anyway. Yeah. You Rain?
I'd go the collectibles route.
Yeah, same. Because I crypto can move just like that on a dime, and if something moves, 10x, I'm going to want to take some profits and put it into something else. Although a 10x from here, and I'm still down a crazy amount, but that's for OMI. For anything else, no, I'm way in the black at that point. So yeah. Penguin saying, if you can buy and sell without KYC in 4 weeks, that would get more users on. But can they remove KYC legally? I mean, you only need KYC when you're going to cash out, and they're not going to have to cash out anymore. So yeah, there's going to be no need for KYC, which is great.
That would be awesome.
Rain, we mentioned Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before. So Paramount had promises with their last NFTs. I think it was Star Trek. There was supposed to be a game with them. And then Recur kind of went under and the game never happened and nobody really got refunded. How do we convince the rest of Web3 that things are different now? And one, VeVe's not going to go under. And two, they're not promising any games. But just how do we get people that felt a little burned or read about that last time and tell them it's going to be okay?
What's so funny is you can only open people's mind that already have an open mind. Like, you can't take somebody's closed mind and open it back up, but you can let time do the heavy lifting for you. You can let the market conditions do that heavy lifting for you. So what's funny is all these people with super closed minds, when things are cheap, it's crazy how they FOMO when prices are high. And I wish they would do it differently. It's the fact that they do it that way that makes it so profitable. Now, that's what creates the volatility. That's why prices, when they take off, they go so high, because that's when all these people that completely have a closed mind and you can't convince them now while things are cheap. It's amazing when things go 50x from here, how they're like, oh my gosh, yes. Oh, yeah. I just borrowed against all my 401k and I just sold my house to go all in on OMI. It's like, now? I mean, the price is 50 times what it was at the lows. Like, why now? Yeah, but it's got to, and it's going to go to 20 cents. And it's like, it may. But you're buying it, say, 1 cent. And like, I hope it goes all the way to 10 or 20 cents. But like, the time to buy was when it was dirt cheap and you wouldn't listen at all. I know, but yeah. And this is just what they do. And that's why the high swings so high and the lows go so low. Because most people, they can't see it. They got to wait till it's already going massively up. And then, specifically the problem is called recency bias. And we assume that what has been happening is going to continue to happen for forever. So recently, over the past 3 years, what has OMI's price been doing? Going down. So what do these people assume is going to happen? It's just going to continue to go down. And it won't play out that way. When it starts going up massively, and say 3 months from now or 2 months from now or 6 months from now, it's gone up and it's 50x from the lows, what are they going to assume? That is just going to keep going up, because that's the direction it's been going. And they're wrong both times. The VeVe won't always be going down. And okay, we hit lows again that are amazing. This is an amazing buy price. And most of you get it by now, if you didn't already. And some of you probably already got this already. You already understood it. That's good, because this skill will make you so much money over time. This is one of the critical skills to learning how to make your money make money for you through investing. And it's not just applicable to crypto, though crypto is the place where the most amount of money can be made right now. This skill will do you so much good, but this bull market will probably make you meaningful money. And then you'll be able to take these skills and that money and exercise those principles and other things. So you've got a fun future. Those people who won't listen now, that's okay. And they won't listen when prices are 50x from here. We'll tell them, you're kind of like my conversation about the guy. I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it will keep going up. But as soon as it does, I would take some profits and I'd get your initial out. And I don't think he was ready to hear that or listen to it. So if I had talked to him about Axie Infinity 2 years prior, he wouldn't have listened. If he had listened, he would have sold while things were cheap. Now they'd gone up meaningfully huge from the lows. He wouldn't listen to me then either. So, like, it's okay. I can't save these people because they're not willing to listen. And that's all right. I'm just going to do my thing. I'm sharing this stuff with people who are here and willing to listen. Great. I'm going to enjoy counting how many millionaires like come out of the audience and everything. That'll be fun. And, a lot of us are going to be longtime friends for forever. A lot of you are going to be super rich, and these skills will serve you for so much of your life. And yeah, like yacht party, all kinds of fun things in the future. It's going to be a good future. Right now, it may not feel like it. That's part of it. That's why so few people do this right. Cool. Patience. It's going to play out just fine.
Heck yeah. We have Grimace on Soul, which I never got into that crypto, but I loved those TikToks back in the day where everyone was getting the Grimace shake and they were pretending that they were unalived by Grimace. That would have made a great video game. McDonald's really dropped the ball there. Anyway, he says that DEVVE's the biggest low cap there is. What do you think of the DEVVE? What do you think of DEVVE? The price is stable around 42 cents. It had gone down to like 37 cents last week. And so first off, I agree. It's one of the most undervalued low micro caps that there are, under 50 million. I think OMI's at 50. This is at like 40. And you have a couple of key resistance areas there at like 80 cents, $1, $1.50, $1.80 is a big one because we had gone up there a couple of times. And it's possible it gets up to those prices again before alt season and before the big announcement. But it's also very possible that at the announcement of whatever exchange partner they have, could be Beijing, New York Stock Exchange, could be London, Tokyo, Shanghai, NASDAQ, it could be any of those or like 8 others. And regardless of which one it is, regardless of what type of partnership it is, just based on the announcement and just the spotlight that's going to be shown on it, there's going to be people aping into it. I remember in like 2017 where Bitcoin was at like 3,000, 4,000, whatever. And like every hour it was going up $1,000. It was insane. And I remember a couple of guys at the office going like, okay, I got to get in. But we were in New York. It took them a few days to get that money in. And then they were buying at like 15,000, like 4x of the price that they had originally wanted to buy at. And I think that's what might happen with DEVVE once the announcement comes out. You're going to have some people in TradFi that haven't really found a good excuse or a good way to buy crypto. And even if they have a way to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's kind of difficult to buy DEVVE if you're coming in from that TradFi world and you're not too experienced in crypto. And I think you're going to have that 1 to 2 week area of people buying consistently up until Coinbase clears their funds, et cetera, et cetera. They find a way to buy it. There'll be OTC deals happening. I think it goes crazy. But again, that announcement's supposed to be, I think, late Q4. I'm going to say mid-December, but it's possible that stuff happens maybe later. But I love it. That's one of the things I'm going to get tomorrow when I get a little bit of money. What about you, Rain? What are your thoughts on Grimace on Soul's remarks here?
Well, DEVVE could be one of the biggest gainers in the coming bull run. I wish I knew exactly if it would be. I wish I had that magic crystal ball so I could know exactly what things are going to be. And you just have to use research to figure out things are at. But it's pretty clear. The fastest layer 1 blockchain I'm aware of. Now, they haven't had a public chart, so people cannot play around with it, test it out. They're solving that problem, and they're launching a public shard that I think is on testnet, so that other developers can get in and test really what is DEVVE all about, and they can test the speeds and how easy it is to program with it. And I think that's going to be a big boom. They've teased that announcement of that big partnership that they were going to do Q1 of this year, and that's been delayed. And the reason that I understand it for the delay is that their partner wants them to have a crypto license, and they've been working with, I think, Switzerland and maybe even Bahamas or something in the Caribbean to try to get crypto licenses there. And I guess if I'm understanding it correctly, they don't want to make the announcement until they have that license, and who knows how long that license takes. So hopefully that announcement comes out this year, and it'll be interesting to see what that partnership entails. It's supposed to be one of the biggest exchanges in the world. Cool. That's really cool. And I guess the big deal about it is that they have T0 settlement time, so instantaneous settlement, which will save exchanges tons of funds from the float that they usually have to keep liquid to be able to float deals. Because when you execute a deal right away, it seems like, oh, you got the deal right away. But sometimes that's actually just money that's floated to you. But the actual transaction might not even close for 2 days. And so they do guarantee that, like, if you bought Tesla stock at whatever price, that you're going to get it at that price, and it is reflected in your account right away, even if it hasn't settled it. And they have to have funds sitting there on the exchange floating that. Well, what if they didn't have to have all that money sitting on the exchange to float those deals anymore because the settlement is instantaneous? Well, that's why T0 settlement time is a really big deal. And so that's why their partner said, wow, if your Harry Potter magic works the way you say it's going to work, I mean, then, wow, we're going to do a really big deal here. What does that big deal look like? I don't know. But right now, DEVVE, almost nobody is aware of it. And that's why the market cap is so drastically low. A lot of their competitors have market caps even where things are now in the $2 billion to like $10 billion range. What if with just some awareness, they go to 2 billion or 10 billion range? And then if this partnership is significant and a lot of exchanges start using their blockchain for instantaneous settlement, well, then that could go to a market cap of 100 billion or 300 billion or 500 billion. Now, will it happen that way? I don't know. It just has potential to happen that way. I don't know. Like, I invested in Axie Infinity. It ended up doing 3,000x. I sold it 100x because I didn't know how high I would go, and I took a solid gain there. I now have more experience in understanding how certain things can go higher than I could have imagined, and certain things that didn't, and kind of had a better gauge this time around because I've seen way more in the crypto space, having been in it now 8 years instead of just 3 to 4 before. But will it go 50x or will it go 10,000x? I don't know how it's going to play out.
Agreed. I think there's a lot to be excited about, and I've seen a couple of people say like, well, they're not really marketing, and like, well, agree. I mean, they have something on CoinMarketCap where they make posts now, and that's cool, but there's not much to market right now. Like, there's a couple of cool things that they released. They have the public blockchain, but there's a scene in Star Wars Episode 1 where Viceroy Gunray is talking to Senator Palpatine, and then the guy next to him is like, you didn't tell him about the missing Jedi. And then Viceroy says, like, no need to report that to him until there is something to report. I feel like there's no need to really market the token up until you have something really amazing to market. And not that they don't have some other things to market right now, but why waste it on stuff when there's not a lot of volume? There's usually about 250,000 volume a day. You probably want to market when things are popping off. And do you want to market to just the few people that are into Web3, or do you want to market to the people that are in TradFi, that are curious about crypto, but they haven't had a good reason to get in, and then suddenly they have a bridge and a really nice reason to get in my opinion? Because there's 150K Bitcoin before the end of this year. According to Josh Mandel, it's going to be like 444 next month, which I doubt. I don't think there's so many institutions that they're going to trade all day, and they're going to take the 30% gains, and they're going to sell at those levels. So I don't think we really get this crazy run up to like 400K that a lot of people are going. And maybe in stair steps we can in the future, but a crazy thing like that, doesn't really make sense. Like Rain was saying before, 180. I mean, maybe in a blow off top and go to like 250 when things get really saucy. I don't know, Rain, you think end of year 150?
Yeah, I do. I think Bitcoin will go 150 by the end of the year.
As they say, it's not over until Cavell Anderson sings. You might be right on there. You might be right. Anyway, we have other stuff to go over here. We've had a pretty good couple of weeks. We have 300 new users the past 2 weeks and 300 new users the past 4 weeks. It hasn't really affected the active daily users because we still have anywhere between 550 and 1050 on any given day the last 10 days, which is fine. They did pretty well on the stamp. They sold $26,000 worth of that. They finally sold out on Vader. They've had a couple of good buys. Granted, it's because, well, we had, Decon, and somebody spent $37,000 there on one person, and then we had the new Agora partnerships and New York Comic Con. So you could make the argument that a lot of recent success they've had is because of the whatnot stuff that they just launched, and then the in-person events. But you still have, I think, new users that are coming on. How do we get them to not just buy one collectible, but to stay, right? And how do we get them to participate daily?
Crypto adoption will drive that. So crypto is the funnest thing in the world when prices are going up. Generally, prices aren't going up right now. So as that happens and the timing comes around, that'll happen naturally. Now, they're already doing some things that you have to log in every so often in order to get your master collector points. So they do have some incentives that are leading to that. What other things can they do? Well, the bigger and more people you get in there, they can they can give special rewards for 60 days in a row, 90 days in a row. And they can even make their own IP and give out drops for certain periods, like a Halloween VeVe logo for if you log in every day during October or something. So on the 31st, if you've logged in every day. So there are ways that they can do that. Now, will that create more activity? Yes. Will it create more users, more people buying? I don't know. I don't know what it'll do. If those Halloween drops end up going crazy in price, yeah. So like at some point, something like that early like this will, because the reason why value goes up so much on this type of thing, the reason why I like collecting things early is because they make enough mints for the community the size it is at that point. But later, as you have tons of users come in, and say you have 100 million users come into VeVe, a bunch of them will have money and they're looking at the prices and they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I had one of those Todd McFarlane Batmans. I could have bought them for 80 gems back then, but now they're going for, say, $50,000 worth of OMI. And they're like, okay, well, shoot, I wasn't around back then. And there's 8,000 of them, but there's, 100,000 of people that really, really want them. And so the price that they're trading at that point is $50,000. It's like, cool. That's what they exchange hands in. I mean, how much would it have cost you to pay Picasso to make you a painting back when, when he was a new up and coming artist? Probably not very much. What is that worth today? A ton. Why? Well, because there's not very many Picassos and there are tons of people who want one. That's what the hope is with the VeVe collectibles.
Agreed. Patsy Weber, I dig the red skull you have there. You bought more OMI today. I will buy more OMI tomorrow. I was hoping to get up to 300 million. I think it's possible. I think I might be able to get that, maybe a little more. We shall see. I'll keep you posted. Appreciate the super chat as well. Moving on here, we've got Omi Child giving us some love. Reckless saying, great talk, guys. Jason Pena, thanks for being a member, saying Konami, Ubisoft, and Activision have created numerous Ninja Turtle games. Another gaming-friendly IP. I agree. Speaking of games, there is I don't know if you ever played World of Warcraft. Have you? No,
but I'm familiar with it. It's one of the biggest video games that I've never played.
Yeah. They had a movie come out in 2016 when I was deployed. I think I saw like 4 movies when I was deployed. One was Captain America Civil War, one was Batman v Superman, one was Suicide Squad, and the other happened to be World of Warcraft. And it was pretty good. One of the biggest MMORPGs ever, and they are making a metaverse, meaning that they're going to give everyone houses, I think for free, and then what they do with those houses, that's where they're going to make the money. They already have subscription models where they make like 100 from the subscriptions itself. They make about $100 million a month, and then through other various microtransactions, they make another 50-ish million per month. So 150 a month is insane. What can VeVe do to emulate that? I mean, they have a metaverse now. Do they just give people houses? Do they give people whatever and have them upgrade it? Do they have subscriptions? What can they do to be more like it? Wow.
I think OMI's the right one to build a video game side of things, but you will be surprised as their model takes off how much money they make as things just change hands. So as much as that seems like, keep in mind, World of Warcraft is like one of the biggest video game successes of all time. So the amount of money they're making is amazing. But do you know who made that much money in 2021? The 10th highest played game in the world, which was Axie Infinity. And it's nowhere near as good of a game as World of Warcraft. Yet just because there was money and real ownership involved, it became hugely played. And they would just take a transaction tax of 4.25%. With that transaction tax, my understanding is they made over $1 billion in revenue that year. That's incredible. So VeVe makes money as these things change hands. Now that most of the stuff changing hands isn't very expensive. Now some of the bigger, more expensive collectibles are going for $5,000 or $10,000. That starts being significant when tons of stuff are trading at such high things. VeVe's going to be making money hand over fist. And a lot of people can't picture it because it's not that way now, but that is what's coming. Like digital collectibles are superior to physical collectibles in several ways. Not in every way, but in several ways. it is one of the things of the future. And some people can't see it until it happens. And then they'll be like, oh, yeah, why didn't I see that coming? Of course it was going to happen. Some people just can't see it till it's there. But other people can put 2 and 2 together and be like, that's 4 plus another 4. Well, that's 8. You kind of see the future before it happens, or just kind of get a glimpse of this is likely to happen. So, of course, digital collectibles are going to happen. VeVe has some of the best licenses in the world for this. So far, they're in the lead position for digital collectibles platform. So I think they have a really strong chance to be a huge success story. And as people come into digital collectibles, then VeVe will do incredibly well. Which means OMI will probably do really well as well. And some of these early VeVe collectibles will do extremely well.
One of the things that I hadn't thought of, which I'm ashamed of myself for not, because I used to cosplay for the better part of a decade before my back crashed on me. There was a Michelle Ivy, the one that was on the podcast on Sunday. She says, I would love to take, because people get really creative with like action figures. They put them right in front of the camera and then they stand like 15 feet back and they pretend the action figure's like, 12 feet tall. She said now they don't have to get as creative with photos because of what VeVe can do with AR. You can make them any size, and you don't have to carry as many props with Comic-Con. A lot of the people carry props, but now because you have them digitally, you don't have to carry as much. You could do it there. I was like, oh, that's a good point. I never thought of that. So another point for them. So other stuff we're getting into. I think it was Wat Mammoth that had shown a Ohtani card, who's like the best baseball player that we've like ever had, like ever, on the Panini blockchain, and he was showing it off, and David had commented under it, GOAT. Probably just because he's a fan of Ohtani. He might even know him because David knows everyone. But it's possible that it was a nod to Panini. It's possible that it was a nod to us getting in sports, to maybe us getting into TCGs. He did take a picture with the TMNT Magic the Gathering new set that came out at New York Comic Con. So I did a video on this as well, and it's like, guys, I don't know. Maybe he was just a fan or a friend. I didn't want to speculate too much, but it's just all the things that he could have meant. Rain, didn't know your thoughts on this. If sports NFTs were, I mean, I didn't know Panini was still doing this well, that they're still selling. I know Dapper Labs is still around, obviously, but tell us about sports. You are more of an expert on this than I am.
Well, I got into sports card collecting when I was a kid. And at the time, I came late to the cycle. This is one of the reasons I learned this lesson. So at the time, it was 1990. Donruss was printing off like a metric ton of every card. So there was no scarcity. And there were way too many collectors already. And so by that time, it already expanded and captured a lot of the market that was going to capture. So those Donruss cards of 1990 haven't done significantly well since then. If you got some of the more limited things like the 1989 Upper Deck cards, well, those were more limited. So if you got some good cards there, they've done some increases. But the baseball card collectors haven't meaningfully expanded since then. And by then they were already minting so much. So you missed it on baseball cards starting in 1990. But had you gone into hockey cards in 1990, there wasn't a big fan base collecting hockey cards. So if you loaded up on hockey cards, a lot of those, as hockey cards took off and went way more widespread, you would have made a fortune on those. So I learned the value of timing and getting in there early. Now, are player cards going to come on to VeVe like sports? What does this look like with sports players? I don't know what that looks like. I would be interested to find out. I think they would be smart to include cards in VeVe. So far, they haven't gone that direction, and I don't know why. And they're like, we're premium collectibles, 3D collectibles. Like, okay, but include cards in there. Why not? So, because a lot of platforms have tried to do cards, but they just don't have a fan base. So VeVe has done the best at anything in the digital collectible space of having a fan base. probably served well. I think Topps has done some baseball cards, a few things. What has done well is NBA Top Shots, and then NFL All Day has done pretty well, and UFC Strike has done okay. And I think those platforms are going to ultimately make it long term, and they have video moments of the top highlights, which is cool, really cool. And I think some of those will be some of the big winners of digital collectibles. VeVe incorporating like baseball cards or even some kind of cards would be really cool. Can they do that? Well, they could. I don't see why they couldn't. They just haven't gone that direction so far yet. I don't know why.
Agreed. That just was my face when I see OMI price after spending all my OMI on VeVe NFTs. Yeah. Anyone that had spent OMI recently is pretty happy because they spent it while it was a bit higher. Now it's a bit lower. They could replace that OMI a lot easier. Crazy Joe says, has your journey with OMI and VeVe been a unique one compared to other cryptos? Yeah. You said you've been here since 2021. All in on OMI, and I did not see any of this coming. Spent money, time, energy spent. Is this just crypto? Yeah, crypto's insane. And for better or worse, again, most people lose in crypto, mostly from their own doing. They don't get into good projects. And even when they do, they tend to sell when it's low, and they try to chase things that maybe don't have as good fundamentals, but there's action there, and they see some of those green candles and they can't resist. So yeah, there's I wouldn't say that OMI's unique in that aspect, because that's a lot of things. But my journey with crypto is unique just because YouTuber and kind of put myself out there a lot, and that's led to a lot of great opportunities. And life has gone in a great direction as far as that goes. But if we're talking about ROI and talking about like my bags, I probably would have been much better off, at least as of right now, sticking with other things, and getting in really in 2024 as opposed to 2021. I would have been able to buy a lot cheaper, but then I probably wouldn't be here. I probably wouldn't have had numerous other now business holdings and now parts and other things. So you have to kind of give and take. What about you, Rain?
Well, so part of your crypto journey that most people like experience is you come in late because it's the massive rises that gets people's attention. Like, did I make money in 2017 when I got started in crypto? No. Why did I get started in 2017? Why? Because things were going crazy already. My friend had already made 15x on his money, and I was like, what? Made 15x, like 150%? He's like, no, like 15 times the money. I was like, what in the world? What? And so he started talking to me about cryptocurrency, and that wasn't just Bitcoin and these things called altcoins and stuff. And so I started researching crypto, and I came in October 2017 there. So there was still plenty of run left. And I bought high, hoping it would go higher, and it did. And I didn't take profits. And it crashed down. So I put about 15,000 in, turned to about 165,000-ish. And then I went to 3,000. And by then I had about 4 or 5 months in crypto, and maybe even 6 months. And I was like, yeah, it looks like there's this cycle that crypto goes crazy and people say it's never going to stop going up, and then it does, and it reverses really, really hard. And you know what? That happened in 2013 as well. And I think it's probably going to happen again in 2021. So 2018, 2019, and 2020, I put as much money into crypto as I could. Of course, my wife thought I was crazy, and my family thought I was crazy, and everyone thought I was crazy until 2021. Now, would it have been perfect if I had known that the bottom would be in 2020? Put all my money to the side, and then in March of 2020, just deployed all my capital right now. Yeah, it would have been perfect. I would have made so much more money. But I don't have that magic crystal ball to know exactly when the timing is. So the way it goes is usually get burned your first little bit in. But if you're smart, you stick around, because most people don't stick around. So the question isn't if you're going to get burned. Yes, you're going to get burned. That's just part of the process. The likelihood that you come in during a bear market is so extremely unlikely. Most people come in a bull run. So if you came in 2021, did you probably cash out enough at the right time? Probably not. But if you're smart, you're still here. So that you're prepared and you've been dollar cost averaging during this bear market. So in 2025 and 2026, when it goes absolutely crazy, you'll be experiencing that ride up because you've been deploying capital this bear market. Now, if you had a magic crystal ball and you could know exactly when to deploy crypto, congratulations. Like, it isn't really possible. And so what's funny is we expect or think that somehow we'd be able to do that. It just doesn't happen. So if you've been around, most likely your portfolio is somewhat down, maybe even a lot down, maybe slightly up. But it's okay, because when crypto goes crazy, then you'll be massively up. And you were doing the right things at the right time. Now, guess what's going to happen in 2025 and 2026 is a whole crop of new people are going to come in. They're going to throw money in. And then it's going to crash down at some point later. And then most of them are going to leave again. And a few people will stick around and they'll dollar cost average during the bear market that will follow. And maybe they'll be around to take at least one more ride up, because I think this cycle, I think we are heading to possibly a really big run in 2026. And if so, what goes up does go down. And so that means there will probably be another bear market. And if there's another bear market, at the point that'll correct to the upside again.
I know David can still sell Pokemon cards in his stores. Yeah, he can do that easily. But the difference between having the rights to selling cards and having the rights to selling digital collectibles is a big, big one. Hopefully something that he can correct at some point. Grimace Soul. So I think DEVVE will go to $50 to $60 by the end of the year. And a blow off top, absolutely. Blow off top, I think it can go higher. End of the year.
That'd be fun if this was end of this year. I would love that. That'd be incredible, especially if OMI was anywhere near the prices it is now.
Oh God, we get billions each.
The happiest person ever.
We would probably you'd have like Dr. Profit levels of OMI at that point. I'd be happy with my small little couple billion. You would have an insane amount. I feel like at that point you would just buy part of the company and be like, okay, here's what we're doing.
No, the token is so much more volatile than the value of the company. So, and volatility, if you're playing it right, is good. It's a good thing. If you're buying low and selling high, it's a terrible thing if you're buying high and selling low.
I agree, but at a $50 DEVVE, you could probably buy the entire VeVe company, and it would be and you know, it'd be fine. But yeah, I could picture you doing a bunch of wild and crazy things at that point, such as retrieving OMI from unworthy owners and giving it a good home up until the blow off top. Yeah. But yeah, that'd be insane. I don't know what I'd do. I'd get a DEVVE tattoo. I would go and put I'd incorporate him into the comic. I'd make Tom his own comic. I'd go nuts. I'd go nuts with it. Shout out to Kaki Gaijin for completing that Happy Tree Friends set 1. Another boost, like another scam. Yeah. We should get some tariff revenue. Trump wants to give $1,000 to $2,000 to each of us from tariffs, so that it's possible we get that. Speaking of people buying stuff, Warner Brothers puts itself up for sale, and now maybe after this shakeup, DC Comics can come on VeVe. Rain, what do you think of Warner Brothers offering itself up for sale? Do you think Disney should buy it? What way can that serve VeVe? Not that VeVe can go buy it; they're like a $50 billion company. But what do you think that does for the DC license? Can we get DC Comics sooner rather than later now?
That'd be amazing. Yeah, that'd be fun if Disney bought them and then had the DC rights and then brought the DC Comics onto VeVe. Like, there's already the DC Comics on Candy, so they wouldn't be the first appearance of some of those comics. But having it all consolidated on VeVe would be amazing for VeVe's future. It would be the one-stop shop for all the leading comics in the world as far as the digital versions of them. and ownership, right? So I guess they're doing some digital comic, Disney is with something else, but you don't actually own it. Okay, it allows you to read it, but you don't, not really owning something, because if you own it, you have the rights to sell it. So though you can get access to it, you can't sell it on those other things. So you don't really own it because you can't sell what you have. So that's why blockchain is such a big deal. Like within video games and stuff, the reason Axie Infinity did so incredibly well wasn't that the gameplay was earth shattering. It's because this idea of ownership, being able to buy something and later sell it, is going to transform video games for forever and digital collectibles as well.
Yeah, love it. I think that is going to be. Oh, I guess there's one or two more things here. One is Jeremy Padower had mentioned the other day he wants to see burns at like a 30x of what they are now. I did a video on this as well, stating that burns are great, but I think burns are just one small part of the equation, and I think the multivariate analysis is done on this. Burns is one thing, but so is buy pressure, and so is getting more people on the app, and interest, and narratives, and M2 money supply. Rain, am I missing anything? Do you have anything to add there?
You're exactly right on that. So, like in the greater bull market, the amount of OMI that's getting burned will increase. The monetary value of OMI getting burned will increase tremendously because so many things will be changing hands. But that'll come in its all due course. So a lot of this is just having the vision and then the patience to let it play out. I often share the story of this guy that I met, and it didn't dawn on me how people can't see certain things. So, I had been doing real estate and real estate investment, and after a while, you just learn the patterns that happen with these cyclical real estate markets. And it's like, as the areas continue to expand, what is once way the heck out there is no longer way the heck out there. And at a certain point, Walmarts get built in those neighborhoods and major cross sections get bought out by commercial developers to put really expensive stores on it. And I was driving with this guy that I knew from church, and he said he was really interested in, buying some land to make some money on it. We passed this corner where a Walmart is being put in. He's like, oh, my family had the option to buy that 20 acres there. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we could have bought it for $30,000 on owner financing. So we just made payments per month. And it was going to charge us no interest. And I was like, and you didn't buy it? He's like, no, there was nothing there. Like $30,000 is a lot of money. And like, there was nothing there. It's like, it was always pretty clear that these, number one, the one major road going east and west was already in. The one going north-south wasn't cut in yet, but it was pretty clear it was going to be there. You didn't buy it? He's like, no, there was nothing there. It just was way out in the boonies back then. It's like, yeah, but way out in the boonies eventually gets developed in growth. And he's like, yeah, I just want to find a piece of land like that. And I'm like, okay, so we can go a few miles north. And he's like, well, there's nothing there. I'm like, well, what are you expecting? You expecting you're going to find one where they're about to put a Walmart in and somehow you're going to be able to buy like 20 acres for $30,000? But yeah, he was kind of expecting that. That doesn't exist. When you're buying something, it looks and feels a lot like risk because it is. So how do you mitigate your risk? Well, that's where research comes in. Like research, like if you'd done research, you could have pulled up the city plan, and the city plan had the north-south road being cut in the future. It just wasn't cut in. But guess what? As soon as they cut that road in, they paved it and everything. Guess who then wanted to buy that land and build there? Walmart. What? Who knew? That was all in the city plan. That's what research looked like. And so I told him we could go north-south and we could look for a similar thing like that. He didn't want to do it. And so he didn't invest and buy anything. Why? Because he thought there was this magic world where there's this like all laid out for you and it's about to happen. And all that has to happen is you buy it from the seller for $30,000, then you flip it to Walmart for a couple of $1 million the next day. Like that doesn't exist. And it doesn't exist in crypto either. So you have to buy things that it feels and seems like nothing is happening, but you're doing research to be like, no, digital collectibles aren't a thing yet. But I could see the argument for why they will be huge in the future. And then you buy them when it seems like nobody is buying them, when it seems like it won't go up because nothing feels like it's happening. And then when it does, that's when you're then selling, not finally coming in and buying after prices have gone 50x, like what happened with Axie Infinity. In fact, he was coming in buying after things had already done a 500 and 1000x. He was late to the game.
That's a lot of X's. And yeah, I agree. Like if you are going into something new, like that guy had really never bought a bunch of real estate before, so he's going into something that he hasn't done a lot, and you think you have a good idea, yeah, let me buy something where they're about to put into Walmart for super cheap. Most likely a million other people have thought of that as well before you got in. And yeah, that could have been a thing 300 years ago, but then people caught on, and they're like, and stuff got perfected over the years and decades and centuries, and now that was everyone else's first thought as well.
If you figure it out, like there's a reason why only 5% of people make huge money in crypto. Like what I'm talking about isn't novel, and it doesn't just apply to crypto. This is what everyone who's made millions of dollars making their money work for them already understands. What's funny is as you understand what it is they do that makes them so much money, and you do that, you can then have that too. But most people just do what they default to, which is they try to come in late, and guess what? That's what wrecks everyone. And then the lesson they learn from that is, oh, real estate investing is bad, or oh, crypto investing is bad. It's like, well, it is when you do it wrong, and you just are doing it wrong. And if you don't learn to do it right, it will always go bad for you. And doing it right is buying it low and selling it high. So many people buy way high, hoping it continues to go higher, and that ends poorly. That's a terrible thing. And the way I oversimplify it is don't chase green candles. And if you stay away from chasing green candles, you protect yourself from buying high, hoping it goes higher.
Great. Right, this is good. I guess one last thing I wanted to go over before we bounce here is I guess final thoughts, but also I don't think I've ever chased green candles. I have, if anything, chased red candles, hoping it stays there, and then it goes lower, and then I buy again. There's a scene in Spaceballs where Lone Star is talking to Barf, and they're carrying the girls that had passed out from lack of oil and room service, and they're like, okay, one more dune, just straight over that dune, that's it. And Barf says, you said that 3 dunes ago. I got nothing left. And I'm not gonna lie, Rain, I've got maybe a year left, and then that's it, and then I'm done. So I will give myself up until July 1st of 2026. And if we don't have it by then, no one will ever see me again. I'm going to go back to high risk lending. I'm going to go back to Pokemon cards. And I'm not going to sell anything because I know as soon as I sell, it's going to go up. But I just, for all the stuff I've built over the last few years, and it's been a lot, I've as of right now, I would have been better off staying with other stuff. So what can you tell me to make me feel better?
What's the date on that?
July 1st, 2026.
Cool. It'll totally happen July 2nd. So, look, the funny thing is like, it's those shoulda, woulda, couldas. So it seems like when I bought that Axie Infinity, realized that it didn't happen near as soon with that as I thought it was going to happen. And I was just stubborn enough not to quit and not let go of it. I didn't know for sure that it would run in 2021. And that bull market came pretty early because of what was going on with the scandemic. The interest rates were drastically brought down, and tons of money was pumped into crypto. And so it ran fairly early, and then it pulled back, and then it ran higher later in 2021, which is a pretty short cycle. Well, this time interest rates, and I guess that helps me understand how important that component is. I wondered why it ran so early that time. Well, So that is a really important thing that helped drive it running, was the amount of money flow created by low interest rates and money being pumped into the economy. Well, so that's finally starting to happen. So it's kind of like when we set these timelines, it's like, look, is it profitable to do what we're doing? Yes, if you have the patience. Because really all that would happen is you would stop buying more and you would stop maybe covering it on YouTube. Well, that's fine. Like, say it doesn't happen by then, and the chances are high that it will happen by then. But say it doesn't. Say it doesn't till September. Okay, so like an extra 3 or 4 months. If you didn't sell anyway till it went crazy, well, cool. Your investments made you crazy money, and you got sick of covering it on YouTube. Who cares? Like, you know, with some people maybe wash out like, Randy's giving up on it. He's not going to. It's like Randy's giving up on covering it because he's frustrated it's taking longer. But like, sometimes it does take longer than you think it's going to take. In fact, often it does. It rarely takes shorter than you think it's going to take. But like, that's why I don't put timelines. Are the probabilities high that a lot of movement happens before then? Yeah, it'll probably be a whole different world. I think November, December are going to be pretty bullish for crypto. I think Jerome Powell is out by May of 2026. I think Trump will replace him with a very, very aggressive interest rate dropper. You know, they'll drop interest rates very aggressively, and that will fuel so much money into the system that crypto will go crazy by end of June, end of July. And so we'll just have to see how it plays out. It does get exhausting. You're like, oh my gosh, it's still not happening. And I have to go in there and cover OMI, and it's back down to these lows. And then it seems like the fudders are right. Yeah, it does. Until they are completely wrong for forever, right? So I lived through that in 2019, 2020. And finally in 2021, all the fudders went away, never to be seen again. A whole new round of fudders been created this bear market, but it's not even the same fudders of 2019, 2020. Who knows what happened to those fudders? They're just gone. But we'll, you know, and we'll have a whole new round of fudders in 2 or 3 or 4 years from now.
Agreed. I will be. Maybe we're still making content 4 years from now. Maybe we're not. You said when is your timeline? You said you gave your audience X amount of years that you'll still be making content for. When is that date again?
Well, so here's the challenge. Like, the type of coverage that I'm covering with crypto is covering things when they're really, really cheap. It does not monetize well. And it leads to really a lot of preaching to the choir, which is great, but it doesn't build more audience. But one of the things I never wanted to do with my audience was sacrifice you guys on the altar of creating a big audience. One of the ways that most crypto YouTubers do that is they cover what's hot because that's what's trending. That's what's going to get you tons of viewers, tons of new subscribers, tons of people liking your videos, is because you're telling people what they want to hear about things that are already going crazy. And your crypto YouTube channel will get much, much, much bigger. But you, in my opinion, are sacrificing your viewers on the altar of, I want a big YouTube channel. I want to make lots of money from my YouTube. What's his name? Jim Cramer. Like, that's exactly what he does. And that's why if you follow Jim Cramer, you probably get destroyed. If you counter trade Jim Cramer, that's actually the way to actually make money. If you're buying what Jim Cramer is excited about, you're probably going to get wrecked. So if you counter trade it, you'll probably do decently well. Why? Because he's covering what's hot, because that's what trends well. That gets people to watch. And when you are monetized, your incentives are all wrong. So I knew when I went into this wasn't going to monetize super well. But my time has value, and the agreement I made with my audience is join me, because the bigger we get, the more we can have on CEOs and companies to be able to ask them questions so we can have better research together. I want to have a YouTube channel because I want to be able to talk to the teams directly. And if I have a YouTube channel that's big enough, I can then do interviews that you can then ask them questions together, and together we all get better research. And so we'll all make more money from our investments because we have better research, because we're able to ask the team questions directly. And so that was the agreement I made. But I was like, I'll only commit through December 2025. So 5 years from when I started, which was December of 2020. Now, I'll probably continue my YouTube channel, but it will be behind a paywall, no longer be free, the deeper research. So you'll have to join our private Discord in order to get access to my videos covering the research, because there will still be stuff on there. I'll probably keep a YouTube channel. Maybe it'll be the same one. Maybe it'll be a different one where I cover lifestyle, because at that point, I'm going to be harvesting and diversifying half out of crypto, because my first bull run that I was prepared for, it made me millions of dollars. Cool. I took that money, I put it all back in crypto during the bear market, hoping to turn it into way more money. And if that's successful, then I'm going to put a bunch into other stuff that provides monthly recurring income, that I can have a lifestyle where maybe I've got $200,000 a month coming in. And then I'll make lots of videos and I'll explain to people I got it through crypto. And if they want to figure out how to get this through crypto, they will have to join behind the paywall, because when people pay for things, they value them better. So for the first 5 years, you get all this research for essentially just being here and free. After this, you will have to pay for it. And already you can join the private Discord. It's not very expensive. I highly suggest you do. To get to the Discord now, you have to join my Patreon to get to the Discord. I suggest you do, because you don't value what you're not paying for. And so but I did make that agreement when I started this, and I've kept to that agreement. It's like, look, do the research and everything, and just join me. That'll help me get interviews, and together we'll all make more money because of those interviews. Cool. So then after that though, the deal was only for 5 years. So also make videos, but they will be like fun, and it'll be like boats and cars and houses and trips and lifestyle, and my wife doing things with me, lots of pretty girls that are friends of ours doing fun activities, the kind of things you can do with money, and talking about crypto, but it won't be the bigger research that really makes you the money. And the research is a critical part of it.
Agreed. That is a great piece of final advice. I do have to talk to you off camera for a little bit. All good things. All good things. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. Love you all, friendos. Class dismissed. Until next week, where we'll have the return of Dr. Stuff. I hope, unless he's going to be in that location for more than a week, but I don't think he is.
It's quite a long trip. I don't know if he'll be back.
Maybe. We'll see. If anything, 2 weeks. Anyway, I love you, friendos. Catch you all later. Goodbye, guys. Thanks for joining. This is